Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Wrestling Challenge review series for the 13th of October 1991. And as is different with this series and or anything from the days when wrestling was good, you don't need a lot of, matches that are super competitive in order to have a good program. Matter of fact, I would even contend that there was more excitement when it was squash matches and you maybe had one or two competitive matches on a show than anything that's done today because, well, less is more. Anyway, Jim Duggan makes his way to the ring. Hacksaw Jim Duggan in 1991 has been around the WWF since '87 for a little while. Bob Bradley, the Battle Cat, who is part of our World Class series. And if you haven't gone and listened to the 320 part of that, then that's worth doing. Anyway, Duggan and Bradley go at it pretty assertively, aggressively here. Duggan, obviously one of the bigger baby faces, kind of getting fans to clap along. Uses his power early, not a big surprise there. Hits some hard shots followed by some clotheslines, and Duggan obviously does the spinning slam. Again, uses the power in the majority of ways. Goes right after his opponent and is not the least bit concerned that he might get a victory by countout. Diving three-point stance clothesline by Duggan and ultimately gets the victory there. Not a big surprise for anyone who's ever seen Jim Duggan during this time, or really for the majority of his Mid-South run too. His win-loss record even there was better than average by far. In any event, that is a relatively useful thing. Duggan manages to get a victory and has his benefit of his 2x4. We go to the special update area of this this run, and we kind of get the announcements. I don't know if it's the first announcement, but I'd imagine it's pretty close since the Survivor Series is about 6 weeks away. Of The Undertaker and Hulk Hogan, they both do respective promos. On Undertaker promises to bury Hulk Hogan once and for all. Hogan says he doesn't know quite what to do with The Undertaker, admits to being a little bit scared, but not going to back up and not going to run from the dead man. He turns this promo into how kids in diapers and kids everywhere wouldn't have role models if not for him. Kind of turns it into a, obviously not worded that way, but that's the subcontext of his benefit here. The Berserker, John Nord, coming up next, and Nord, alongside Mr. Fuji, go at things pretty aggressively here. Fuji is happy with his man, as one would expect. Does the huss thing in the corner there, and obviously Nord, as the Berserker, is very aggressive, hits, punches, kicks, and a couple of pretty aggressive leg drops there. Obviously, that is eventually being set for The Undertaker in the weeks and months to come, I imagine. But at this point, he goes to Fuji, fall away, front slam by the Berserker, who gets just about everything that he wants out of things, and the Berserker eventually uses the running toss over the top rope to gain a victory here. Obviously, that doesn't impress very many people, but it does impress those that like the Berserker. They promote a hot ticket, which is a limited pay-per-view event series. Hulk Hogan plugs an upcoming live event, or actually Ric Flair plugs an upcoming live event taking on Piper in the area. Bobby Heenan still with Ric Flair. I believe this is still a New York area. Piper basically apologizes to Vince McMahon for McMahon getting clocked with a steel chair. A chair for Flair is basically the deal. This is the hype for the Sunday night, November 10th, Boston Garden deal. Speaking of hype, Sergeant Slaughter asks for forgiveness. He wants his country back. He wants his fans back. He's a man without a home, man without a country, etc., and so forth. They give him about 2 minutes to cut this promo. He compares himself roundabout to Abraham Lincoln, which I think is a bit of an overkill, but I get where they're going with it. They actually do turn him, which, after the falderall of WrestleMania 7, not much else you're going to be able to do. Animal and Hawk, your tag team champions, otherwise known as the LOD, the Legion of Doom, or the Road Warriors, make their way out. Some press slams, clotheslines, real basic stuff from the Road Warriors here. Hawk and Animal, obviously. And sadly, both passed away. Hawk would be the speedier of the two, Animal the more powerful of the two. Press slams, clotheslines, and eventually a doomsday device is all that they need to get a enhancement talent match over and done in a couple of minutes of diving fist drop by Hawk thrown in there for extra good measure, one would assume. Needless to say, the Road Warriors continue to be a dominant team as the champions. Hulkamania showing exclusively on the Hot Ticket deal. Then we go to the event center again. Mooney once again promoting the upcoming Boston Garden show. Remember, they're at the Boston Garden just about every month to 6 weeks through about 1995. IRS calling the big boss man a tax cheat and says he's going to, render him incompetent and prove him to be the tax cheat. Boss man cuts promo, says that on November 10th he'll get a hold of him. He's not the least bit worried about IRS or what he has in mind. They are plugging the Mountie. Now, the Mountie doesn't really have a lot going on at this point, although kind of going with Bret Hart is where he's going. The feud doesn't go too terribly far, but the Bret Hart thing is where they end up going for the next little while. Of course, Hart losing in January the Intercontinental title to him. The Warlord is here. Warlord, using his power, has been joined by Harvey Whippleman, I believe, by this point. Tossed by the Warlord, actually still with the Slickster, through the end of 91. For some reason, I was thinking Harvey Whippleman, but I think it's because the Bulldog thing was done twice, once with Harvey and once with Slick. Anyhow, shoulder tackle by the Warlord. The Warlord eventually, with the gut wrench suplex, drops the man almost on his head. Bret Hart says he wants to handle the Warlord, says he wants to handle just about anybody as the Intercontinental Champion. Of course, Hart winning the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam 91 with Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig holding on to that belt up until January of 92. So, he's got a 5-6 month run there. And, it's a pretty big first run. A long way from where Bret would end up as multi-time world champion, but you can see already in 1991 they're kind of dedicated to building the Bret Hart brand. Full Nelson by the Warlord basically causes Slick to say the party is in fact over, and he is factually accurate in that regard. The Hot Rod Roddy Piper basically says he's going to get even with Flair. He doesn't fear Ric Flair. This is done on the barber shop. Obviously, Brutus the Barber Beefcake still not back completely from the parasailing accident. They re-show Vince McMahon getting nailed with a wooden chair, and Piper is aggravated with Flair for that, obviously. Although, to be fair, who wouldn't want to hit Vince McMahon in the head with a blunt object? Enhancement match up next as the Rockers, who are wearing green backwards hats, almost making fun of the Dynamic Dudes if I didn't know better, have a pretty explosive enhancement talent match here. Purplish and greenish are the color scheme of the rockers with a little bit of tie-dye mixed in. Jannetty starts, hip tosses, arm drags, basic stuff. Michaels comes in with some hip tosses of his own. And Shawn Michaels already beginning to show a little bit of time before the heel turn. The punch kick, back run, and again, heel turn comes for him in January. So a lot of stuff happens in January 1992. Not sure if our run with the wrestling challenge stuff will take us there. The partners are thrown together, doesn't lead him to where he wants to be. Go to the outside, and Michaels pulls him back in. Michaels always, even here, even though the team hasn't broke up yet, looks like a star. Hits an elbow to the top of the head. Jannetty comes back in. Jannetty eventually does lead to the victory, and the Rockers victorious once again. We move to, with a couple minutes left in the program, one thing I will say is that the WWF pacing is much better than average. The Barbarian is here. He's working Ray Garcia. Hits a bunch of punches, kicks, big boots, and like the top rope clothesline. Does finish off the adversary here. The Barbarian, without a manager really, because Bobby Heenan kind of has gone the Ric Flair route, but he's only going to be there for a couple more months. And obviously, goes without saying that the Barbarian doesn't care one way or the other about wins and losses in that way. Backbreaker by the Barbarian on the top rope clothesline, and the big boot and all of that. They plug for the upcoming Boston Garden show, the Natural Disasters, and the Legion of Doom. Thankful I never saw that match in person because, well, I don't think I would have enjoyed it very much. Basically, power versus fat never ends well, no matter who you are. And in any event, that will close us for today. We will be back, hopefully, with more of these. We've also got the almost complete Mid-South series, complete world-class series, over 100 superstars of wrestling, plus the modern-day junk that people somehow manage to tolerate. So hopefully there's something that you enjoy here, and that can lead you where you want to go as far as continuing to follow our channel. Please subscribe, like, comment below, and all that good stuff. And without a doubt, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.